In this video, I want to talk about percent strength of solutions. So first of all, a solution is a liquid that has had medication or minerals or other products dissolved into it. And the percent strength refers to how much of a substance, in our case is typically going to be medication, that has been dissolved in a specific amount of liquid. When we talk about solutions, they contain two parts. So you have the solute, which is the actual drug, mineral, or product that's being dissolved. If it's a dry substance, it's in grams. And if it's a liquid substance, it's in milliliters. And then that's getting dissolved into a solvent, which is some sort of liquid. And that is always in milliliters. As an example, let's say we have a drug that is a 15% drug solution. So remember that percents, right? Percent is always out of 100. So if we have a 15% solution, that means there are 15 parts of the drug or medication to 100 parts of the solution. So the liquid, all together, that's all mixed in. And remember, percent is always out of 100. So it's always going to be out of 100 parts altogether. So there are 15 grams of drug to 100 milliliters of solution here. And again, the solution would be the whole thing together. How do you write that? Well, 15% we write as 15 out of 100. Always thinking about part to total here, but you can simplify this. I can divide both the numerator and denominator by 5 here and get 3 out of 20. Sometimes we will change that percent form into a ratio when talking about percent strength because we can simplify this. So the percent form has to be out of 100. So you can't simplify the percent, right? 15% is 15%. But if I want to kind of reduce that fraction, write it in fraction or ratio form, that can be simplified. So we would write that instead as 3 to 20. So you would have 3 grams of medication per 20 milliliters of solution. And that would be the simplified version. All right, let's do 2 more examples. So same idea here. Let's write 2 1/4% as a ratio of pure drug to solution. So let's say our concentration here was 2 1/4%. So remember, percent is always out of 100. So this is the same thing as 2 1/4 over 100. I'm going to use the fraction version here just so you can see how to work with that. I would change this to an improper fraction first. So that's going to be 9/4 out of 100. And think about this. We've seen these complex fractions before. This is the same thing as having 9/4 divided by 100. And this is a good review here. Don't forget, dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying and taking the reciprocal or flipping that second fraction. I can't see anything to simplify here going across, so I'm just going to multiply. I have 9 over 400. Again, I would check to see if I could simplify this further, but 9 only has factors of 3, and 400 is basically only factors of 2s and 5s. So there's nothing in common here. And this is actually as simplified as we can get in the ratio format. So our ratio is going to be 9 to 400. So if we're looking at a dosage, let's say this was medication, it could be something like 9 grams of medication for every 400 milliliters of solution. And when I say solution, I mean the total thing mixed together. I don't mean just the liquid. So the 400 includes the entire solution, including the original 9 grams of medication that would be in there as well. I'm going to try one with a decimal for you to see. So write 0.9% solution, again, as a ratio of pure drug to solution. And that percent means per 100. So 0.9 over 100. Now, there's different ways to do this. I like to just cancel out the decimal. So I don't like to have decimals and fractions mixed. And one easy way to do that is just to move that decimal point over to the right to get rid of it. But you have to make the same change in the denominator. So I would take this decimal point here, move it 1 spot right, and add zeros any place where I have a missing piece. So this becomes 9 over 1,000. Now, again, I would try to simplify this as much as I can. I can't do anything here. There's no factors in common. So this is going to be my final ratio. So it would be 9 to 1,000. Okay, so let's say, 9 grams of medication or maybe 9 milliliters of medication, depending on what we're administering, to 1,000 milliliters total of solution. So we can reduce our ratios that way as well. So we've seen a more standard way, right? If you have a nice whole number, then it's just going to be that number over 100, and we're going to go ahead and simplify. If you have a decimal or a fraction, though, we can do the same thing. It may require a little bit more arithmetic, but we can get the same answer in the end with that ratio format. We just have to take our steps a little bit slower and watch along the way.